Welcome to the History in Focus channel. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss more videos like this one. The Russian sleep experiment, an urban legend, tells of scientists in the 1940s who allegedly kept prisoners awake using a stimulant gas. After weeks, they exhibited grotesque and self-destructive behaviors, becoming unrecognizable. An intriguing photo, taken around 1910, displays a ghostly figure superimposed on a common scene. Likely the result of double exposure, a common accidental effect at the time, the image and mysterious atmosphere make it even more haunting. During a family dinner, the Coopers had a terrifying surprise. A body fell from the ceiling at the exact moment the photo was taken. A disturbing drawing by a little girl depicts her friend, who, according to her, Mom and Dad cannot see. The dark figure on paper leaves an unsettling mystery about its origin. Terry Ike Clanton, a Western enthusiast, posed in Boot Hill Cemetery in the western United States in the 1990s. In the photo, near his left shoulder, appears a figure of a man in Old West attire, though no one was present when the photo was taken. The Brown Lady, photographed in the 1930s, depicts the supposed ghost of Lady Dorothy Townsend descending the stairs of Rainham Hall, England. The enigmatic and haunting image is one of the most iconic in the record of supernatural phenomena. Dennis Russell photographed his grandmother in 1997, and in the background, the figure of a man identified by the family as her late grandfather, who passed away in 1984, appeared. The unexpected apparition intrigued everyone, raising questions about the mystery in the image. In the 1920s, two men died in a gas leak aboard a ship and were buried at sea. After the burial, the crew reported seeing their faces in various locations. This photo, taken by the captain, captured the unexplainable, trying to validate the crew's claims. A recent photo taken in Manila, Philippines, shows two friends posing cheerfully while a third captures the moment. The mystery arises when noticing a transparent stranger holding the arm of the girl on the right, leaving everyone perplexed. Ralph Hardy photographed a mysterious figure on the staircase of the Greenwich Museum in 1966. Historians link the ghost to a maid killed 300 years ago, pushed down the stairs while cleaning up blood. This photo was taken in 1960 by Reverend K.F. Lord. While photographing the altar of his church in England, he did not expect what would appear: the image of a hooded spirit standing among the altar steps. A nursing team captured an intriguing photo on a viewing monitor showing a black figure over the patient who passed away a few hours later. The event occurred in 1959. At a birthday reception, Joe Martinez was photographed with the image of a dog over his shoulder, despite no dogs being present. Joe and his wife believe the image is of the devil himself. Experts confirmed the photo's authenticity, with no signs of tampering. In Allegheny National Forest, Pennsylvania, a wildlife camera activated by a deer captured something unexpected: a spectral figure with a screaming face. The local mystery reinforces its eerie reputation. A girl takes a casual selfie, but in the bottom left corner, the reflection in a cosmetic mirror reveals something disturbing. A gray and shriveled face with demonic eyes appears to be watching her. A young woman resembling Topanga Lawrence poses for what seems to be a normal selfie. However, above the bedroom door, demonic eyes emerge from the darkness, silently observing her, adding a terrifying element to the image. A surreal scene on Japan's Miyakojima Island shows residents wearing gas masks due to high levels of volcanic activity. The toxic gas seeping from the ground makes the equipment necessary for survival, creating an image as haunting as it is real. A 12-year-old boy saw something strange while resting at night in 2006 in Arkansas. He noticed a pale, hunched figure approaching from the dark, initially thinking it was his dog. When it came closer, he realized it was something much more disturbing. This creature became popularly known as the Rake. The Smile Dog is a terrifying urban legend that emerged on the internet. The story revolves around a cursed image of a dog smiling sinisterly. Those who see the photo say they are tormented by nightmares until they share it with others. A fire consumed a building in Wem, Shropshire, England, in November 1995. An amateur photographer captured the image of a young girl in the doorway of the burning building. Many believe it to be the ghost of Jane Churm, who died at the site. In a Worstead church, Diane Berthelot was photographed praying one summer in 1984. Months later, while reviewing the photos, the family noticed the figure of a white woman standing behind her. The Teletubbies, in black and white, lose their childlike charm and gain a disturbing appearance. The lack of color transforms what should be a cheerful program into something unsettling, almost like a scene from a horror movie. Beauty treatments of the 1930s and 1940s were frightening. One example was the use of carbon dioxide to freeze freckles. Patients' eyes were covered, nostrils blocked, and they breathed through a tube, creating a scene worthy of horror films. Family portrait. Have you ever seen a photo where each member has a stare you wouldn't want to hold for too long? This portrait reaches another level of unease, simply frightening. A peculiar and bizarre scene was recorded by a store's security camera near a red box. A person, bent at an unusual angle, appears to be in an unnatural position. At first glance, everything seems like a typical wedding, with several guests participating in a traditional ceremony. However, something in the image leaves a strange sensation. Looking closely at the background, one can notice hooded figures in robes, suggesting the presence of a cult during the ceremony, making the scene at least strangely unsettling. While testing his equipment, a wedding photographer captured the image of an entity looking directly at him. The farm owner confirmed that the spirit of a young boy in sleepwear was often seen wandering the property. This image shows hooded figures in a circle around a car, arms raised in a ritualistic pose. The scene, shrouded in mystery, evokes a disturbing feeling, as if part of a cult or dark and unexplained event. The case of Annalisa Michel, a teenager, began in the late 1960s when she experienced hallucinations and extreme behaviors, such as eating spiders. Subjected to 67 exorcisms, she died in 1976 at the age of 23, inspiring the film The Exorcism of Emily Rose. In 1931, a couple of psychologists raised a chimpanzee named Gua alongside their own baby to test whether it could learn human behaviors. The experiment sought to observe if Gua could walk, talk, and act like a human child. The experiment took a disturbing turn when, instead of Gua learning to act human, the human baby began mimicking the chimpanzee's behavior. Concerned about the changes, the parents abruptly ended the experiment. Sinister. Russian soldiers are seen wearing costumes to alleviate the fears of war. However, despite the intentions, the image took on a disturbing tone due to the grotesque masks and bizarre outfits against the grim backdrop of conflict. These mysterious handprints appeared on the glass of a woman's second-floor window with no apparent explanation of how they got there. The fact that they are in such a high location makes the event even more unsettling and difficult to understand. In Florida, a woman heard rustling in the bushes and noticed a strong smell. Curious, she took a photo and captured a strange creature, leaving her completely shocked. In Portland, a man found his tires slashed and a note left on his car that read, "You were so easy to find, Mark. You should drive more carefully." The note made the incident even more unsettling. In a playground in Poland, a rigid and autonomous cable was found standing upright in the sky with no visible support. The McPike Mansion, built in 1869 in Alton, Illinois, is famous for paranormal reports, including apparitions and unexplained sounds. Investigations in 1999 recorded mysterious mists and frightening activities, such as sinister faces captured in photos during the night. I sent this photo to show a friend that our favorite movie was on TV, but I noticed something strange. A shadowy figure appeared in the empty hallway behind me, making everything terrifying. This little girl took this photo while trying to capture the moment a bird flew into her house. The scary part? No one was behind her when the photo was taken. A man received a notification on his phone warning him that someone was at the door. Upon checking the image captured by the camera, he found this enigmatic figure staring directly into the lens. This image recalls the attire worn by plague doctors during the Middle Ages. The beak-shaped mask, designed to filter odors with herbs, is iconic, but up close, it is unsettling, evoking more fear than the cure it intended to symbolize. Ventriloquist dolls are naturally unsettling, but this one, dating back to the 1800s, takes the discomfort to another level. The doll's face appears to be made of real skin, adding to the mystery. Imagining it speaking is enough to send chills. Dolls are already unsettling, but an entire town of them is terrifying. In the 1950s, the U.S. government used fake villages in the Nevada desert for nuclear tests. Families of mannequins were exposed to explosions, as shown in this photo at the moment of destruction. This photo of a faceless young man caused a stir on the internet, fueling legends about beings among us. However, the truth is far less sinister. It was simply part of a British clothing brand's advertising campaign. Homemade Halloween costumes for children had a genuinely disturbing tone in the early 1900s. Without the store-bought outfits of today, improvised masks with vacant and crude expressions created an eerie air that continues to give us chills. A young man was testing his new digital camera with his friend Tommy in 2005. Two photos taken seconds apart showed something strange. In the non-flash image, an inexplicable figure appeared in the background. Only the two were in the room. For years, a family believed they were haunted by the woman in white, a figure sometimes peaceful, sometimes vengeful, who silently observed them. Proof came in a casual photo where the entity unexpectedly appeared in the background. While reviewing photos taken at her parents' home, Christy noticed something terrifying. A dark and sinister figure appeared in one of the images, hovering in the doorway, as if silently watching her. Submitted to Reddit in 2012, the mystery of the Wisconsin trail camera continues to intrigue. The hunched-over creature captured sparked theories ranging from wendigos to jokes about bedsheets. The answer? We may never know. The Paris catacombs, created in the late 18th century, form a subterranean labyrinth containing the remains of over 6 million people. Overcrowded cemeteries originally led to the transfer of bones into the tunnels, turning the site into a vast ossuary. The atmosphere of the catacombs is deeply unsettling, with skulls and bones arranged in patterns along the walls. Urban legends speak of wandering spirits and mysterious sounds, making it a popular destination for explorers and paranormal enthusiasts. William Hope, a pioneer in spirit photography, claimed to capture spirits in his images. In this photo, a veiled figure appears behind a man, supposedly his deceased sister. An old photo shows a haunting ritual, a man bent as if in prayer while a woman in white seems to levitate or jump to an impossible height. Without modern effects, the scene suggests something supernatural or even witchcraft. A sculpture known as Le Passe-Muraille, created in 1943, takes on an eerie form in the depths of a dark tunnel. Seeming to peer out from within the wall, it evokes the unsettling feeling of being watched in such a grim setting. An intriguing image circulated on the deep web, generating unsettling theories. In reality, it is just a person who decided to watch a movie alone, proving that solitude in certain circumstances can be interpreted as something disturbing. This image was captured at night by a hunter using a night vision camera in a forest. Beyond the deer in the foreground, a mysterious figure resembling a child appears in the background. The skeletons displayed in the Capuchin crypt in Rome offer a unique and unsettling sight. Around 1900, their elaborate arrangement made from the bones of monks symbolized the transience of life and the inevitability of death. On November 13, 1985, Omaira Sanchez, a 13-year-old girl, became trapped in debris after the Nevado del Ruiz volcano erupted in Colombia. For 60 hours, she remained neck-deep in water, praying and hallucinating before dying from gangrene or hypothermia. A 1920 photograph shows a couple accompanied by the apparition of a young woman, supposedly the spirit of someone who had passed away. Grotesque masks emerge slowly from the forest. The sight of these incomprehensible and unsettling presences is enough to send chills down any observer's spine. Waverly Hills Sanatorium, opened in 1910, treated tuberculosis patients, though less than 5% survived. With an estimated 8,000 deaths, the legend of Nurse Mary Lee, seen as a spectral figure captured in a photo, haunts the corridors to this day. In Europe and the United States, it is customary to check under children's beds to reassure them. However, in this image, something with a terrifying face seems to be lurking. Toy or illusion, the discomfort is inevitable. An antique armchair with a doll's head rests in what was once a kindergarten in the Chernobyl zone, abandoned after the 1986 nuclear disaster. The scene reflects the weight of the tragedy and reinforces the somber atmosphere of this deserted location. What appears to be a charming countryside house in upstate New York is actually a Trudeau sanatorium for tuberculosis treatment. In this 1948 photo, a nurse in white walks nearby, reinforcing the unsettling atmosphere of the place. Dennis Rader, the BTK killer, confessed that his violent fantasies began in childhood. Captured in 2005, the police discovered disturbing photos of him tied up and dressed in women's clothing, along with records of his victims in eerie selfies. Around 2 p.m., Liberty posted photos on Snapchat showing her friend Abigail on the Monon High Bridge Railroad Bridge in Indiana. Later, both disappeared, declared missing the same night after failing to return to their agreed meeting point. Some people on social media believe that one of the photos shared by Liberty shows a suspicious figure hiding behind a tree, lurking around the event. A photo that should have captured the joy of a child playing reveals something disturbing in the background. A humanoid figure crawling, seemingly reacting to the child's presence. The image left many questioning what was really there. In the 1980s, a photo of a man at the Grand Canyon revealed something strange. In the background, a cloaked figure seemed to be observing from the bushes. The most disturbing detail is that the figure appeared to have no legs, deepening the mystery. Montague Cooper, a furniture store owner in the early 20th century, photographed his products, but one detail stood out. A mysterious hand appears in the image. Some speculate it might belong to the previous owner. After the death of Mr. Convermere, a photographer was hired to capture his favorite chair. In the photo, the silhouette of a man resembling the late owner appears seated. Since then, the chair has never been discarded, carrying an eerie aura. Mabel Chinnery photographed her husband in their car after visiting her mother's grave in 1959. The developed photo revealed a shock. Her mother appeared in the back seat. An expert confirmed no manipulation, adding to the photo's intrigue. People passing by an abandoned weapons factory in Bridgeport, United States, claimed to hear screams, moans, and the sound of chains rattling inside. A local resident captured an image, after which no one dares to pass the site again. On Zombie Road in Missouri, known for its sounds and apparitions, photos taken in 1959 showed silhouettes near a river, but without reflections in the water. The empty location puzzled investigators and added to the site's mystery. A recent photo in Rhode Island shows Penny's grandmother, who passed away in 1990, beside her 2-year-old granddaughter. Experts confirmed the image's authenticity, leaving the case shrouded in mystery. This image captures what appears to be 2 children holding hands on a deserted road, looking upwards with blurred faces. The cloudy sky and their distorted features due to photo conditions create a haunting scene, suggesting something ominous above them. A hospital ward shows rows of iron lungs, devices used for polio patients in the 1950s. The machines filled the space, creating a scene as vital as it was unsettling for those relying on them to breathe. A well-lit living room seems ordinary at first glance, but in the bottom left corner, an odd face appears resting under a pillow. The unsettling question arises, where is the body? Quite a disturbing sight, isn't it? A girl poses calmly on a park bench at night, but in the background, a mysterious and distant figure stands out. The enigmatic presence adds an unsettling touch to a scene that should otherwise seem ordinary. At the bottom of the ocean, sometimes the most frightening things are not marine life, but inanimate objects, like a solitary chair. Without context or apparent reason, its presence in the vast blue emptiness provokes a sense of mystery and discomfort. The nuclear shadows of Hiroshima are haunting imprints left on surfaces where people were vaporized by the atomic explosion. These eternal silhouettes recount the tragedy of a devastating moment. Alone at home during a snowy night, everything seemed calm until the next morning. Walking into the kitchen, fresh footprints on the floor revealed he wasn't as alone as he thought. The mystery of who passed through the house remains unsolved. Allegedly, 2,000 people claim to have seen this man in their dreams. His middle-aged eyes and hair contrast with a childish smile, creating an unsettling appearance. It's as if he's real yet strange enough to send chills down your spine. One of the most iconic shadows of Hiroshima shows the outline of a little girl jumping rope at the moment of the incident. Etched into the wall, the image immortalizes the tragic and devastating moment. The boy from Acre, Bruno Borges, disappeared in 2017, leaving his room filled with encrypted books, mystical symbols, and a statue of Giordano Bruno, a Renaissance philosopher. The case intrigued Brazil, generating theories about mystery and spirituality. One theory suggested that Bruno was hiding inside the statue of Giordano found in his room. The weight of the piece fueled speculation, but was dismissed when he reappeared months later, explaining it was a social experiment to promote his books. South of Mexico, the Island of the Dolls emerged after Don Julian Santana Barrera hung dolls to appease the spirit of a drowned girl. After his death in 2001, the island became a tourist attraction, with visitors continuing to hang dolls at the site. A masked woman poses in a disturbing photo. The absence of leaves on the trees indicates short days and long nights, ruling out Halloween. Perhaps it's part of a play or something darker, scary enough to give you chills. This clown is credited as the origin of our universal fear of clowns. Its disturbing appearance embodies the discomfort many feel, fueling the terror associated with these figures. An intriguing and disturbing warning is posted on a pole. It informs you that while you read it, a man in a window above may be taking your photo. According to the text, he creates miniatures of people and uses these figures for strange games. The discomfort of the message leaves the reader with more questions than answers. This peculiar photo shows an attempt to recreate Santa Claus, but the result is frightening. With an unfriendly mask and a blank stare, it's likely that any child seeing this would reconsider their belief in the jolly old man. The image depicts a Chinese woman from the late 1800s with feet bound since childhood, a practice known as lotus feet. This painful tradition was seen as a symbol of beauty and status, but left women with permanent deformities. The image shows Halloween celebrations from the 1930s, with grotesque costumes and masks made from simple materials. The figures, with exaggerated and frightening expressions, create an unsettling atmosphere typical of the time. The image shows a peculiar doll with two faces, one smiling and the other somber, reflected in the mirror. The duality between the expressions makes the object even more disturbing, evoking a sense of discomfort. The image shows the mask used by Dennis Rader, known as the BTK killer, during his attacks. The mask, with feminine features and hollow eyes, reflects the killer's disturbing and macabre behavior, serving as a representation of his terrifying nature. This photograph captures a baseball team made up of prisoners in the early 1910s, whose executions were delayed under a peculiar condition, as long as they kept winning games. A few days before Christmas, Charles Lawson bought new clothes for his family and organized a professional photo session in town. This image became the last memory, as on Christmas Day, Charles murdered his entire family in a tragic event. The cell used during the Salem witch trials is a desolate site: raw stone walls, a simple bench, and chains. This cramped and grim space was the last refuge for many accused before facing a tragic fate. This vintage Halloween costume is unsettling, with a crude mask featuring wide eyes and clothing that appears improvised. Combined with the desolate setting, it creates an eerie atmosphere, transforming the costume into something genuinely spine-chilling. Max Schreck, behind the scenes of Nosferatu in 1922, is seen relaxing on a bench, yet his portrayal as Count Orlok remains terrifying. Even off-camera, his dark presence seems to transcend the character, leaving a disturbing impression. Dennis Rader, known as BTK, killed 10 people between 1974 and 1991, terrorizing Kansas. Despite his crimes, he led an apparently normal family life. His daughter stated she had a loving and typical relationship with him, without suspecting his double life. In this photo, Dennis poses with his daughter in a seemingly ordinary and calm scene. The contrast between his family life and his brutal acts as a serial killer makes this image deeply disturbing. Although visually disturbing, this image shows only wax figures deformed after a fire in a museum. The heat melted the sculptures, creating a scene that seems straight out of a nightmare. These disturbing drawings, accompanied by the phrase, "The end is near," were found on the walls of an abandoned psychiatric asylum. Several televisions of Reddit users froze, displaying the message, "Many will die." The apparently random technical error became a disturbing and viral moment, leading to speculation and comments about the frightening context of the phrase. This image appears ordinary at first glance, but reveals a figure dressed in black among the vegetation. It was the last photo taken by Dalen Pua, sent to his mother with a message saying he was being followed. He disappeared during the hike and was never found. The image captured by the baby monitor shows a child with a disturbing appearance standing outside the crib. Although it looks frightening, one hopes it is simply sleepwalking and not something more sinister. The Dancing Serbian Woman, a viral urban legend on TikTok, depicts a woman in traditional clothing dancing at night with a knife. According to legend, those who look at her or pass through her street are pursued and attacked by her. An abandoned hospital, shrouded in darkness, revealed a disturbing detail: a single light shining in one of its windows. The site raises unsettling questions about who or what was there during the night. An abandoned church in a Czech village was transformed into a haunting sanctuary. The location now houses ghostly sculptures representing the former parishioners who once attended the space. A peculiar scene shows figures wearing pointed hats from a certain organization on a Ferris wheel. The context of the organization at this location creates an entirely dark and sinister atmosphere. The Mothman, a mysterious figure described as a humanoid with moth-like wings that precedes disasters, was last seen on September 13, 2003, near the Silver Bridge. The bridge collapsed shortly after, killing 46 people. On 4chan, a story emerged about a group exploring an abandoned kindergarten. In the basement, they heard laughter and accidentally shot someone in a Mickey Mouse costume. Later, it was discovered to be their friend, a tragic end to a macabre prank. These isolated stairs in the middle of the forest intrigue explorers. Reports talk of discomfort, strange sounds, and even theories of portals to other worlds. While skeptics point to ancient ruins, the mystery continues to fuel legends. In the 18th century, French inventors created an incredibly detailed mechanical baby designed to simulate human movements. The figure, brought to life by gears and springs, generated both fascination and discomfort, being seen as a blend of art and science. A solitary scientist descended into the radioactive darkness of Chernobyl, accompanied only by a cameraman, in 1986. This risky mission sought to assess the disaster's damage, capturing images of a desolate and deadly scene. In a photo taken on Christmas 2009, a figure appears standing in the hallway. The person who captured the image believes it to be their father, who passed away in June of the same year, adding a macabre aura to the photo. In a selfie taken in 2011 with a webcam, a shadowy figure is visible in the background. The person only noticed the unsettling presence after reviewing the image, making the capture frighteningly sinister. A man went for a nighttime walk and saw this figure standing on the roof of a building. With no explanation for its presence, the image remains deeply unsettling. There is something profoundly unsettling about this smiling doll sitting beside its handler. The frozen expression on the toy seems to carry a dark secret only it knows. Another one for the collection of strange costumes. A human-duck hybrid combining feathers, human feet, and an eerily expressionless face. The outfits of the era seem to have no filter for bizarreness. A vintage rabbit costume crosses the line between bizarre and unsettling, with hollow eyes and a backpack of mysterious objects. What should have been whimsical instead resembles a nightmarish scenario. Ventriloquist dolls already carry an unsettling aura, but in this image, the doll's expression, almost defiant, adds a sinister touch. It seems to have thoughts of its own, as if avoiding returning to its box. Disturbing. Such costumes were common in the past, used to scare misbehaving children. Although intentional, they often crossed the line, resulting in outfits that seemed genuinely macabre and disturbing. This image shows a psychiatric patient drawing faces on the walls of his room. It is believed he was attempting self-portraits based on how he saw himself, something frequently observed in severe psychological disorders. In 1937, an English butcher had the peculiar idea of attracting customers by hanging fresh meat on the facade of his shop under the midday sun. While creative, the sight is nightmare-inducing. An unusual idea for Winter resulted in the creation of a grotesque snow monster in 1902. The figure, dark and bizarrely proportioned, takes on an even more disturbing tone with the faceless men surrounding it, transforming the scene into a frozen nightmare. In the basement of a suburban home, a family claimed to see the ghost of a little girl. One day, after hearing laughter, they captured this photo. The figure appears reflected in the bookshelf, as if leaning on the chair. One thing is certain: it does not seem human. The Stanley Hotel in Colorado, known for inspiring The Shining, is famous for its paranormal activities. Reports include children's laughter, moving objects, and sounds of parties in empty halls. In this image, the reflection on the billiard ball's glass case captured a desolate spirit. This photo is from a dormitory at Fitchburg State University, known for inexplicable events. After hearing a trash can fall in an empty corridor, a student captured this image and, upon investigation, caught something unusual, perhaps a problematic resident. A woman photographed her mother sitting alone near a campfire during a family gathering. However, upon reviewing the photo, a young girl appears beside her. If the mother was truly alone, the question remains: who or what is this mysterious figure? A resident of a nursing home captured this photo after reports of doors opening, lights flickering, and no one being present. The image was taken 15 minutes after a patient had passed away. Could it be the spirit of the deceased, or as staff members call it, the Reaper? Shortly before the demolition of a Victorian inn in Kendal, United Kingdom, the site supervisor took a photo revealing what appeared to be the figure of an elderly woman in the window. The family believes it is Frances Grimshaw, the deceased owner, known for spending hours in that room taking reservation requests. Steve Cooper captured a mysterious figure during a visit to Moundsville State Penitentiary. The photo, taken in an area marked by a deadly riot 30 years prior, shows the silhouette of a guard in the left corner, even though Steve insists the location was completely empty. Tourists in Croatia captured a photo in a misty forest, but a tall and shadowy figure in the background drew attention. Was it a ghost or just a tree? Measuring approximately 10 feet tall, the mystery continues to fuel eerie theories. If you find masks frightening, this photo is not for you. Two men and two women dressed elegantly hold grotesque, almost demonic masks. The most unsettling part: they appear to already be wearing masks while holding others. Martin Lorello, born Martin Emmerling in Nuremberg, Germany, was known for his unique and unsettling ability. He could turn his head a full 180 degrees, a feat that made him stand out as a true anatomical anomaly. Edward Mordrake, a man who had an extra face on the back of his head, was unable to speak or eat with it, though it could laugh or cry. Edward pleaded with doctors to remove it, but no one ever attempted to. These mannequins were used in nuclear tests in the Nevada desert during the 1950s, simulating families in fictional homes. They were positioned to observe the devastating impacts of explosions, creating scenes of normalcy that appear profoundly disturbing. A nursery abandoned after the Chernobyl disaster is filled with dolls scattered across rusty beds, silently reflecting the horror of an abrupt evacuation. This is the infamous photograph of Ruth Snyder, the first person to be captured while being executed in an electric chair in 1928. Taken by a journalist with a hidden camera, the image immortalized the horror of the moment. Two wax mannequins in a London department store in 1929 began to melt during a heat wave. The scene, captured in a photograph, transformed the charm of the models into a macabre spectacle, with faces and bodies deformed by extreme heat. This iron mask from the 17th century was used on patients deemed insane. Its purpose was both to restrain them and dehumanize them, a cruel and stigmatizing treatment given to mentally ill patients of the era. In the photo, in the lower right corner, a little girl was crying, refusing to participate because, in her words, the little boy was scaring her. The mother ignored it, thinking it was a tantrum. However, upon reviewing the photo, something frightening is seen at knee level among the group. A visit to the dream apartment took a dark turn. Something strange was carved into the flooring, but was only noticed upon reviewing the recording that night. It almost feels like the start of a horror movie. An unusual sight of Ronald McDonald without makeup manages to be more disturbing than his clown version. Something in the blank expression seems to carry an inexplicable discomfort. This disturbing doll was found abandoned on the roadside. It is easy to imagine why someone left it behind. Either it is cursed or serves as a vessel for something malevolent, like a real-life version of Annabelle. This unsettling image shows a ventriloquist dummy looking at a baby in its crib. The bizarre composition fuels the natural discomfort many feel toward such dolls. An apparently innocent image of two children playing takes on a sinister air when something strange is revealed. Reflected on the screen of a turned-off television, a ghostly face appears, watching. The mystery and unease of this figure remain unexplained. What seemed like just an innocent selfie quickly becomes unsettling when something unexpected is revealed. In the background, a dark and enigmatic face appears, almost imperceptibly, watching. Who or what could it be? This man poses for a quick photo, smiling calmly as if holding something trivial. But in Harold Agnew's hands lies the plutonium core of the bomb destined to devastate Nagasaki. There is something deeply sinister about the serenity of a man holding the means to kill tens of thousands as if it were a simple lunchbox. The worn-down entrance and the words "The Smile Room" suggest anything but joy. This abandoned place seems to carry a sinister weight, where the sound of laughter could easily turn into an echo of terror. Jeannie Wiley, known as the Wild Child, was rescued at the age of 13 after years of brutal abuse. Her father kept her tied up and locked away, growling like a dog at the slightest sound. Unable to walk or talk, her tragic life remains a mystery to this day. This chair from the 18th century was used for torture, especially during witch trials. Its hundreds of sharp spikes ensured extreme suffering, often leading to death from blood loss. A 19th century anthropologist showcases two shrunken heads from Ecuador, the result of the Jivaroan tradition. These macabre relics were used to trap souls within their culture. This image from 1945 shows German soldiers reacting to footage of concentration camps. Their shocked expressions capture the devastating impact of the scenes they witnessed. Serial killer John Wayne Gacy, who also performed as a clown at events, became known as the Killer Clown. Despite the nickname, he never committed his crimes in costume. The contrast between his personas made him even more sinister. Tereska, a Polish girl, grew up in a concentration camp and lived in a mental health orphanage in Poland in 1948. When asked to draw her home, the image revealed chaotic forms resembling barbed wire. A mysterious photo titled "Unknown Under the Ice" was found on a flash drive belonging to a polar explorer who died during a 2009 expedition. The icy, enigmatic image remains unexplained to this day. The woman in the photo is Judith Dahl, captured by serial killer Harvey Glattman. Pretending to be a photographer, he lured victims with promises of modeling careers but subjected them to torture and murder. In this police photo, Judith might still have believed she had a chance to escape. This photo hides a grim detail, a gnawed human column in the corner. These are survivors of the Andes crash in 1972, who after 2 months of hunger and cold resorted to extreme measures to survive. A mother was photographing her son when she transferred the images to her computer and noticed something chilling. An unknown girl was standing in the doorway in the background, even though no one was present during the moment. In 1982, photographer Chris Brackley captured the interior of St. John's Church in London. Upon developing the film, he noticed something eerie. A woman's figure appeared in the upper right corner. At Tantallon Castle in Scotland, a photo revealed the face of a man peering through the bars of a window. The photographer claimed the castle was empty. Experts ruled out reflections or editing, leaving this mysterious figure unexplained. The early 20th century Norton funeral motorcycle combined a bike with a sidecar adapted for coffins. Created for urban and rural funerals, its somber appearance became a curious and unsettling marker in the history of funeral vehicles. A 19th century vampire hunting kit, complete with stakes, crucifixes, and holy water, reflects the fascination and fear of the time toward supernatural creatures. These kits were popular among European travelers who feared Eastern European vampire legends. Encountering this girl on a deserted street on a Friday the 13th would be enough to send chills down even the bravest person's spine. Old-fashioned toys often seemed designed to haunt children. The vacant stare of this doll is enough to send shivers through many. An image from a Japanese magazine that was supposed to be harmless instead evokes discomfort with the unusual angle of a woman's neck and her bizarre facial expressions. The disturbing question remains, was it just a photographic mistake or something more sinister? This image of a clown in his dressing room from an unknown year carries a haunting duality. His weary expression beneath the mask contrasts sharply with the joy he was meant to embody, making the atmosphere all the more unsettling. This image shows two girls posing beside a Santa Claus who looks like he stepped out of a nightmare. The worn mask and empty gaze create a disconcerting atmosphere, far removed from the cheerful figure associated with Christmas. In the 1950s, the United States government constructed fake cities populated with mannequins for nuclear testing. These scenes, seemingly tranquil, became haunting as they captured the devastating impacts of explosions, simulating what would happen in real urban areas.